Okay, so today I want to talk to you a little bit about unit analysis and how paying attention to the units in physics is really important in all the problems we do. And when the units don't work out, how it's necessary to make them change over. So what I have here is a very simple example problem. It says you are driving with an average speed of 45 miles per hour for 5 minutes. How far will you go in this time? If I was going to try to solve that problem, I would use this equation to do that. This is the pretty common displacement equation when you know average velocity and time. And so if I just use the numbers that I was given in this problem and I took 45 miles an hour times 5 minutes, I would get the number 225, and I guess the unit would be miles, just because that's what I had over here. But boy, you better question that answer, because 45 miles per hour means that it'll take me an hour to go 45 miles, and I'm only going to go for 5 minutes, which is a fraction of an hour, so there's no way I'm going to go that far. And the reason this problem doesn't work out is because these time units don't have agreement, right? If units don't have agreement, then the equations that we use in physics don't work. So what I need to do is talk to you a little bit about just the simple process that we like to use to convert units. Some of you might think that you have an easy way of doing this, or you might want to look up a conversion table or something like that. But in reality, physics, all of physics and all of engineering and all of science, frankly, rely upon this very standard method. So the method that I'm going to show you here today looks something like this. So what we're going to do here is look at the unit analysis, which is the method of converting one unit of measurement to another unit of measurement. Now, realize this only means I can convert from like one distance unit to another distance unit, or one time unit to another time unit, or even a speed unit to a speed unit. That's what converting means. You can't convert from one kind of quantity to another kind of quantity. Like, you can't convert from acceleration to speed, because those aren't the same things. That's like trying to compare apples and oranges. All you can really do is convert one kind of apple to another kind of apple, if you will. So anyway, the system that I'm showing you here is a simple example that would show you how you could convert a distance unit. For instance, maybe I want to know how many miles 45 kilometers is. So 45 kilometers is the number that I'm starting with, right? And so with this starting number, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply it by a conversion factor appropriately, so that the units will cancel out, and I'll be left with the unit that I want to have. So what I did do is I looked up this conversion factor. 1 mile is 1.609 kilometer, and then just realized that when I write that as a fraction like this is really just like an equivalency, right? Since these two things represent the same distance, this is really just saying 1 over 1, which means that I don't really change what this is measuring. I just change the unit that it's in. So the reason I set up the fraction like this is because when I put kilometers on the bottom of this conversion factor, that kilometers will cancel out with the kilometers in the problem that I already had, like I show you right here. So now what I'm left with is basically just the number 45 times 1 mile over 1.609. This has now become my conversion factor. And so when I take 45 divided by 1.609, I get this answer, 27.96768. And when I round that appropriately, I get the number 28. And you can see that my unit now is in miles, because really that's the only unit I had left over. So really what this process does is it allows us to know, like, do I multiply or do I divide? How do I know exactly what it is that I need to do to convert my unit appropriately? So let me show you another example now. I don't know, let's go ahead and convert something a little bit more complex, just so you can see the power of this. Let's say that I told you that I could run with a speed of 15 meters per second. Okay, and you're like not quite sure how fast that is. It's hard for you to know that. So you want to convert that to miles per hour, so that you can get a feel for if I can really run that fast. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this process to convert that. So the first thing I'm going to do is start off by writing 15 meters per second like this. Okay, I mean, really 15 meters per second just means 15 meters in 1 second. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply it by a conversion factor that will change meters to miles first. Okay, now when I do that, what's going to happen here is I'm going to cancel the meters that I had already, and I'm really just going to be left with a miles on top. If I stopped right here, I would just have miles per second. I'm going to take it one more step by converting by a conversion factor that will cancel out the seconds. I'm going to put the seconds on top this time, and that's because the seconds will cancel out the original seconds, which was down below, and now I have miles on top and hours on bottom. Now it's just a simple matter of me putting in the right conversion factors here so that I can solve this. So I'm going to write it again with just a little bit more space so that I have space to put in my numbers that I need. Okay. I know that 1 mile is 1,609 meters. Okay, my meters will cancel. Then I'm going to multiply by the seconds to hours conversion. I also know that 1 hour has got 3,600 seconds in it. There's 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. That will cancel out my seconds. And now when I'm all done, I'll have a number that is expressed in miles per hour. Now all I need to do is do the math to figure out what this is. Okay, so when I do that, I basically am going to take my calculator and I'm going to take 15 times 3,600 because those are all on the top of all these fractions. And then I'm going to divide by 1,609 because that's on the bottom of all these fractions. And when I do that, the number I get on my calculator is 33.5612, and then there's a bunch more digits after that. I'm going to round this appropriately to 34 miles per hour. And now what I've basically done is I've taken this speed from up here and I've put it in a unit that most of us are familiar with down here in miles per hour. By the way, if somebody tells you that they can run 34 miles per hour, they're probably pulling your leg because that's awful fast. Okay, well, this is a process that you're going to be using a lot. I hope this little tutorial made sense. Get a lot of practice. This is something you've got to be able to do just over and over and over again